Welcome back for episode 2 of the DC Drano podcast. We're going to jump right into President Trump's major announcement. Did it live up to expectations, or did it leave people a little bit confused? We're going to break that down. And then Bill Gates, the guy with almost zero self-awareness, is at it again, talking about how there's too many people on planet Earth and he's going to do something about it. How creepy does it get? We're going to show you and break that down too. Stay tuned and let's roll. I tell the truth, and I call out corruption in our government. That's what people want. They want real talk. I don't work for anyone. I'm completely independent, but I'm going to take on this machine. I'm going to take on corrupt California government. I'm going to take on the Biden administration. This goes all the way to the top, and we're going after them. So a lot of you saw that President Trump teased a major announcement the other day, and he had this video.
America needs a superhero.
Pretty cool. Looked like a movie trailer, really. A lot of people were talking about it. It got the desired effect. I talked about it on Newsmax. People were guessing on Twitter, major accounts. Everyone's like, what is going on? And what I said on Newsmax was, listen, he has not made a, quote, major announcement since he announced that he was running for president. And my initial guess was maybe he's going to announce that he's going to be Speaker of the House. I posted that in January of 2021, went pretty viral. I was on War Room podcast talking about it, caused a stir. Trump even kind of flirted with the idea. I think he's ultimately backed away from it, but that was the only thing I could think of. What would cause him to say it's going to be a major announcement? Well, today he posted fairly early in the morning, which is kind of unusual for him. But he made a major announcement and he posted, my official Donald Trump digital trading card collection is here. These limited edition cards feature amazing art of my life and career. Collect all your favorite Trump digital trading cards. $99 each. Get them quick. They're going to be gone. They're NFTs. Very interesting because President Trump has actually been notoriously anti-crypto. And not only is he now supporting crypto, but he's pushing NFTs. A few things to say on that. One, I'm not sure it's the right time to be pushing NFTs. The market is really horrible. NFTs that sold for $1 million are selling for like $70,000 now, and that was, in less than a year. And frankly, I think what's going on behind the scenes, it kind of confused me. A lot of people were not pleased, I'll say. Even some of the MAGA faithful, they weren't super happy with him teasing a major announcement and then it being an NFT drop. I think he got paid a lot of money to do this. I think someone probably paid him at least $1 million just as a starting fee, if not more. And these NFTs, you can get access to. You can win a dinner with him. You can do a Zoom call with him potentially if you win. So I saw across the spectrum a lot of people were kind of let down, given that the last major announcement was him announcing he was going to run for president, and this was for NFTs. So, including myself, I was a little bit confused. 2 hours later, he drops his First Amendment platform. This is gonna be a major backbone issue set for his second term, and it included a lot of great things. And before we get into it, I just want to play a clip from the War Room podcast with Steve Bannon, who is one of Trump's biggest cheerleaders. He had Sebastian Gorka on. He had Steve Cortez. And so let's just play this clip and see what he says.
They're called Trump digital trading cards.
Okay.
These
Okay.
cards
I can't do
feature
this
some
anymore.
of the...
I can't do this anymore. He's one of the greatest presidents in history, but I got to tell you, what business partner, and anybody in the comms team, and anybody in Mar-a-Lago, and I love the folks down there, but we're at war. They ought to be fired today. You came out with something that's so important, which I still don't think gets to the heart of it. And hey, you don't have three harder cores than Cortez, Bannon, and Subgorka. So when we're getting blown up all day.
Steve Bannon was obviously upset. A lot of people were upset, and a lot of people were calling for people to be fired, people on the Trump campaign. I have no idea who made this decision. I have no idea what potential earnings they were getting from this, but a common criticism of Trump's campaign, some of his administration, is that he has these people that are kind of in it for the clout, in it for the access, the money, and not necessarily in it for the MAGA war. And I think Steve Bannon, touched upon an issue that, a lot of us were feeling like, listen, hey, we are at war. This is a Marxist insurgency in our government. We all know what happened in 2020. And, what they're doing now with, the vaccines. They tried to do the digital passports. They got the border flooded. Our economy's in the dumps. Ukraine is a mess. We're getting dragged into World War III. Honestly, we don't really need NFTs right now. We need leadership. We need solutions. But Trump did put out his First Amendment protection agenda, which I thought was very strong. To be honest, it's stuff that I've been calling for, that a lot of people have. And with all the Twitter files and everything we're seeing, he wants to ban federal agencies from colluding to censor American citizens. That's a no-brainer. That's already forbidden by the First Amendment. Now, apparently we need to reiterate that because, well, Marxists, they don't care about the Constitution. The First Amendment is literally in place to stop Marxists from tyrannizing us, stopping our free exercise of religion, stopping our ability to protest, stopping our free speech. Sound familiar? That's basically what they went after first thing with the COVID lockdowns. They closed down the churches. They said we couldn't protest. If we tried to organize protests on social media, they would ban us. And obviously they're censoring doctors and just regular people who criticized the COVID protocols. We are under a Marxist insurgency. And again, that's why a lot of people were a little bit let down. But again, Trump put out his First Amendment protection agenda, and these are long overdue things. Frankly, I think these things should have been put in place or fought for in 2017 or 2018. I know, Monday morning quarterback. But Trump really, he won because of memes, because of the internet, and frankly, because of Twitter. And I think it's, I think those things going unprotected and constantly being, people being banned and censored over the years. And, Trump still had his Twitter, and it was huge. 60, 70, over 80 million followers. And so I think there was that sense of security, but then they took that away from him. And frankly, I think he should be back on his own Twitter. I know that's a somewhat controversial thing to say, but that's a microphone with over 80 million people and a lot less shadow banning and censorship now. I think he needs to get back on it. I do think there's probably some limitations with Truth Social. He's probably not allowed to, because, that would definitely lower the market cap of that platform, the value. And they haven't closed their SPAC acquisition yet with DWAC. So maybe after that's closed, but it's also very early right now. Let's zoom out. We are close to 2 years away from the actual election. The first primaries in early 2024. We're 18 months away from that. None of this stuff really matters, right? NFT, First Amendment speech platform, good stuff, good roadmap. It really comes down to the last week or two before each primary race, when those races will be determined. This is all just horse race posturing. Again, zooming out, but I do think people want leadership. They want hope, and they want strong leaders who are in a wartime posture. So let's go back to his list. Ban taxpayer dollars from being used to label speech misinformation, disinformation. Again, First Amendment. That should already be a rule. And this is something that I'm hoping my lawsuit will fix. Like I said, I'm suing the state of California and Twitter because the state of California emailed Twitter and asked for Twitter to censor me. And they did. And I was banned for election misinformation. I have the smoking gun email, and I am sincerely hoping, we just had our Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals hearing last week. I'm sincerely hoping that no matter what happens, we appeal to the Supreme Court if we lose in the ninth, and the Supreme Court steps in and says, yeah, you do have some free speech rights on social media, and the government should not be telling big tech what to do. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I will push for. I will not take a settlement. I will not quit until that happens. Other things on Trump's list: immediately send preservation letters. Whatever, that's for litigation. Order the DOJ to investigate all parties involved in online censorship and prosecute any crimes. Believe it when I see it. We need to really clean house at the DOJ and FBI. Otherwise, none of this stuff is going to go anywhere. Revise Section 230 to curtail big platform power to restrict lawful speech. Goes without saying. Section 230 is out of control in terms of how it's interpreted. Stop federal funding for all nonprofits and academic programs engaged in censorship. Yes, that's going on at the University of Washington, at Stanford University. It's being funded by a guy, Omidyar, who created eBay. He's a multi-billionaire. His tentacles are everywhere. He is George Soros without the publicity. We'll do a deeper dive on him later, but he funds these universities and NGOs, and then they fund PolitiFact and the fact checkers, and they lobby and petition these big tech companies to censor things. So it's an intermediary step between the government and the Democrat Party and these big tech platforms. But the guy, Omidyar, I forget his first name, but suspend federal dollars to any university that's engaged in censorship. Goes without saying. Censorship is bad. The First Amendment is something that should be respected by the government and by private companies. Yes, they do have the right to censor people. Should they? No. And I think Elon's ownership of Twitter will hopefully push all companies towards that, because if you are a censoring social media company, Elon's going to eat your lunch. People are going to go to the least restrictive, popular social media platform, and that's hopefully going to be Twitter. Impose a 7-year cooling off period before former Intel and national security officials can work at big tech platforms. James Baker, we talked about him last week on the podcast. He was an FBI general counsel for 20 years. He was number 2 at Twitter. Do you really think that they have a firewall where they never talk with all their friends and coordinate the censorship that they should be doing? It slightly gets around the First Amendment because they're no longer working for the government, but the coordination between, phone calls, meetings, grabbing a beer with these guys, they know what to do. All right. That censorship apparatus is there. He didn't get hired at Twitter because of his legal prowess. He got hired because that's the bridge between the government. And guess what? You get things in return. You hire their guys. You don't get the DOJ investigations. You don't get the SEC investigations, right? So it's an insurance policy. I get why Twitter was doing it. Yeah, they want to make a lot of money without being investigated for their crimes. But there does need to be a massive corruption cleaning. And part of that is not allowing national security officials jumping right into these big tech companies and dictating their censorship apparatus. I mean, it's obvious what's going on there. And then most importantly, on Trump's platform, pass a digital bill of rights. We absolutely need that. I believe that the First Amendment should be expanded such that when you are such a big social media platform that you effectively are the new digital public square, that you're effectively like a phone service, a telecommunication service, right? How crazy would it be if AT&T censored you while you were calling someone, right? We wouldn't tolerate that. That's because they're treated as a public utility when they use the phone lines. They're not allowed as a public utility to infringe on the First Amendment. The same thing should apply for big tech and social media, especially the monopolies, the Googles, the Metas, the Twitters. So that's probably one of the most important things. A digital Bill of Rights would fix pretty much all of this stuff, but that comes down the road. A lot of these steps are things that he can take on the first day in office. So, the presentation didn't go as smoothly as we wanted, but his list of First Amendment protections is spot on. They're necessary. These are things we need. Dropping the NFTs. Hey, everyone's entitled to make a little money. I don't think he should have framed it as a major announcement. I do think there needs to be a shakeup in his campaign staff. But again, we're still 2 years out. He's leading in almost all credible polls, even against, Governor DeSantis, who I admire, respect, support heavily. But I want Trump for another 4 and DeSantis for 8 after that. So moving on to the next topic, Bill Gates. This guy is probably one of the most hated people on planet Earth. He went from this Mr. Rogers wearing the sweaters and he's a billionaire and he's gonna, help with public health and to completely being exposed for what he truly is during the COVID situation. And he's a maniacal, evil person. He's power hungry. He's obsessed with injecting people. Okay. I saw this meme the other day. I only take medical advice from people who don't think the world is overpopulated. Okay. So anyone that thinks that, their intentions are suspect, at best. And Bill Gates also, he doesn't even have a bachelor's degree, right? All right. Yeah, he went to Harvard, he dropped out, he's a billionaire, computer, whatever. He didn't go to medical school. Why is he out there as the consummate expert on vaccines besides the midget of death, Dr. Fauci? It makes no sense, but he's in the club, right? He was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. His wife literally divorced him over their friendship. And when asked about it, he pretty much was just like, yeah, well, Jeffrey Epstein's dead now. So it was the creepiest answer. So anyway, he released a video. It kind of exposes this guy for who he truly is. He thinks the world is overpopulated, and somehow he thinks that better healthcare will help decrease the population, right? So this guy wants to vaccinate everybody. He thinks it'll decrease the population. Explain to me how better healthcare decreases the amount of humans on this planet, right? So here he is trying to explain it. We're going to break this video down as he goes through it.
The population going to get so big that feeding everybody and maintaining the environment is going to be impossible.
Stop right there. He makes very conclusive statements without any evidence, and frankly, he's incorrect. He says that the population will get so big that feeding everybody and sustaining the environment will be impossible. He just says that, okay? Advances in technology and science are making it so easy to mass produce food. We do not have hunger issues in a lot of countries. In fact, one of the biggest problems in America is that people are too fat. Okay. And that's a problem around the world. The capitalist economic system, there are fewer people in poverty right now than in the history of the entire world. And it's actually getting on a better slope. Now, we're seeing a lot of farmer protests in the Netherlands. Energy prices are soaring. The WEF Agenda 2030, where they want to basically stifle farming because they believe it contributes to the climate crisis. No, they want to actually start starving people. This is literally what they want to do. WEF, they believe there's too many people on this planet too. They want to make it harder for farmers to make food. The Chinese government, Communist China, is buying up a bunch of farmland. Bill Gates is buying up a bunch of farmland. And then he's also saying that we can't have enough food. So there's a ulterior motive. There's frankly, an evil plan going on in the background here. But again, the conclusive statements, it's impossible. It's just not going to happen. You're wrong. All right. So Elon Musk has talked about many times how our biggest problem It's not overpopulation. It's that we are not reproducing fast enough. Okay. The human population is going to peak at around 2050 to 2100, and then it's going to start to go down. And he believes that human civilization could collapse because when the birth rate drops too low and as people get older and live longer, there's not enough people to replace them. So you got two billionaires competing. One of them, Bill Gates, wants to inject you with medicines that frankly have more harm than good in a lot of instances that we're seeing. And then you got another guy that wants to give you free speech, allow you to fly on rockets and give you electric cars. Which one do you trust more? I'm not saying you should trust either fully at all, but thus far, Bill Gates is hands down the most evil. All right, let's continue with this.
Here we can see a chart that looks at the total world population over the last several hundred years. And at first glance, this is a bit scary. We go from less than 1 billion in 1800, and then 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's a bit scary, right? Remember the Georgia Guidestones? They said the population should only be 500 million people, and then they got blown up. There are a lot of people that think like Bill Gates. They're unfortunately at the top, and they're using the climate agenda as an excuse to, I believe, help depopulate the planet. And they're using scare tactics, and they've been doing this for 30, 40 years. Oh, there's going to be an ice age. It's global warming. Now it's just climate change. I mean, they constantly keep moving the goalposts. They want to use fear to control you, to increase taxes, to control where you can drive. You know, California is getting rid of gas-powered yard equipment. You know, weed whackers, lawnmowers. You can't. They're capping how many cows you can have, the methane. They are trying to slowly suffocate the freedoms and prosperity that first world citizens have because they want people to be peasants. That's literally what this is. And just the way he talks about people, you know, Christianity, every soul is from the breath of God. Every soul has value. Bill Gates, I almost guarantee, does not believe in God, does not believe in Christianity. I think he believes in much darker things. But let's continue with this awful
and then
video.
3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.4 billion where we are today is happening even faster. So Melinda and I wondered whether providing new medicines and keeping children alive, would that create more of a population problem? What we found out is that as health improves, families choose to have less children. And this effect is very, very dramatic. We find that in every country of the world, this is repeated. The population growth goes down as we improve health. So we've taken...
All right. So he's drawing a false conclusion. As health improves, population growth goes down. Actually, no, the population is just going down in general because people are not having enough babies. That's the problem. It's not because people's health is improving. If that's completely counterintuitive. He's trying to take credit for a problem that is actually just ongoing that Elon has brought up. And frankly, when it comes to the things that Bill Gates pushes, I don't think they're making people healthier. I think they're doing the exact opposite. But let's continue with the video.
So we've taken that chart that shows the global population growth, and we've actually extended it out all the way to 2100. And we can see that instead of continuing, it actually flattens out. Another way to see...
Again, it's flattening out because of what Elon talks about. People are not reproducing fast enough. Continue.
Another way to see that is through this rate of population growth. And you can see that in the 60s, that reached a pretty high number, over 2% per year. And it's now come way, way down.
Yeah, it started coming down in the 60s and the 70s. Bill Gates was like a teenager then. He wasn't doing any of this public health stuff. He's trying to take credit for something he didn't even do. So not only is he lying and evil and wants fewer people on the planet, but he's actually trying to take credit for it with this BS theory that they use to justify the climate lockdowns and COVID lockdowns and whatever. The video's almost done.
Now, 11 billion people, still a lot, but the good news is that the faster we improve health, the faster family size goes down.
The good news is the faster we have fewer people on this planet with me, the better things will be. Okay. That is, I believe it's Satanism, frankly. I think it's a watered down version. I think this guy is motivated by some of the most evil intentions. And frankly, I'm glad that the world is waking up. We almost, got too far without a chance to save ourselves, but I do believe we do have a chance to save all of human civilization, to be honest, from these evil people. And that's why they're censoring us, because of places like this podcast, because of social media. They know that the truth is powerful. The pen is mightier than the sword. And we just need to keep getting the truth out there, because things have gotten so bad and so dismal and dark that a lot of people are waking up. And so be helpful to them. It's not that easy. We all woke up at some point. I truly realized how bad things were around 2017, 2018. I had been a Republican for a long time, but you start to really wake up to how evil these people are. You find out about Epstein and how Bill Gates is friends with him and Bill Clinton, and you're like, whoa. Ghislaine Maxwell. So the genie is out of the bottle. It's not getting put back in ever. They're doing their damnedest to accelerate their plans and frankly depopulate the world. They're literally telling us that's what they want. And so it's on us to be forces of good and to stop this evil agenda. We can do it peacefully. We can outvote these people. Once we clean up elections, we can spread better ideas, because in the end, there's a lot more of us than there are of them. So thanks for tuning in to episode 2. See you next week. God bless.